I'd call the meeting, the Buck Creek Township Advisory Board at 6 p.m. Or do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So 1.6 or whatever percent on $3.6 million is a lot of
It
money.
was more money.
Yeah, so it's thousands a month, probably 18 to 22, depending on $1,000 a month in interest. So
Takes care of a couple salaries.
yeah, so that's so that happened. Like I said, just Monday because of my error. Any questions on that?
I think it's great.
Scotton Cemetery Cleanup Day. Cemetery Commission does usually in the summer 3 or 4, maybe 5 cleanup days where they send their trailer with all of their cleaning equipment, with all of their cement repair, the fence. They can do all kinds of things, and so they are sending people, and they're telling me even for one of our cemeteries, that's on the list this year, that they will replace the split rail fence. They will do it. They have money to spend because I said, let me know when we're going to do it and I'll order the fencing and have it delivered there. And they said, well, we have money that we need to spend. And I said, cool.
How
Please
much?
do.
We got plenty.
Right, yeah, come on, dude.
Okay.
So anyway.
Cement walls, so they'll be quiet.
Right. So anyway, the first of those, we got on the list, the very first cleanup day, which is April 26th. It is at Scotton Cemetery, which is just south of Gateway. There's a Heron Creek subdivision just south of Gateway, south of 2 North. And the cemetery, as soon as you go in, the cemetery was on really high ground when they made that, and so it's like 10 feet in the air. They built a big wall. The developer did at the time, built a big wall, and so you almost look up, to the cemetery. So anyway, that they're bringing, like I said, all kinds of cleaning equipment. They're asking people to bring gloves and like a drink and make sure that you're dressed appropriately for the weather, for whatever that is. They're going to do concrete repair on some of the cracked headstones. They're going to reset up, and I don't know if this is the case here, but one of the things that they do is reset like those tablet things. They a lot of times have to redo the base on those, and they will rebuild that base so that the tablet can sit back in it. I know that they're bringing some gravel so they can dig up one side of the base of things and stick some gravel under there and re-level it. So it's actually a pretty extensive, cleanup day. They've scheduled it from 10 to 2, but I know I participated in a couple over the past couple of years, and they will go back. A couple of the people from Cemetery Commission, if we don't get some stuff done, they will go back, another day or two and finish up whatever's. I also found out that they have a stump grinder. That one particularly needs it. Now, I'd like for them to concentrate on the stones this time, and then we can go back with the stump grinder maybe in the fall or something, specifically that one. But pretty cool that we're on the list, and we'll be on the list for a couple this year. So I'm very thankful. That helps us out because our cemetery budget isn't very big. And I don't have the expertise to time it, and I don't know who else you do. Who else can go out and repair concrete, because it's not me. So I'm thankful for the people and the money and the help with all of that. They bring the chemical too, like clean the headstones and stuff too. So it's a nice
Where did it come
service.
from? Where is it?
Huh?
Where's this come from? Where is it?
No, it's the Hancock County Cemetery Commission. Yeah, there's Jenny and I went to a meeting last night. It's a special breed of people that are interested in the cemeteries around the county. So, but I'm thankful that they're doing it, and especially thankful because Buck Creek Township really hasn't been on their list, on their radar for helping us with that stuff. So,
Good.
yeah. I wanted to let you know, I spoke to Cumberland today. They are, so the cemetery that's over on Buck Creek Road, that's part of one of these developments, Snyder Cemetery. I was asking her, what's the update? We kind of talked about that being deeded to the township, but there's a couple of things that I would like for them to do before it's deeded, and they need to handle all the paperwork and all of that to get it deeded, and
That's the one I found over.
yes,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna ask them for a stipend from the developer to supplement our budget, because that's not one I really had planned on inheriting right away. So anyway, she said, I'm not anticipating any issues with the cemetery being deeded to the township. The developer hasn't filed their preliminary plat yet. When they do, it'll be a perfect time for us to make sure this happens as intended. So sounds like that's on track. The other question I had for her, as I said, 700 West, across from Glen Oaks, is the east side of the road. The edge of the road is wide in some places, and skinny in other places. And she said, I actually spoke to our inspector earlier about County Road 700 West, and they should be working on it today. Apparently the fiber wasn't moved far enough, and they need it moved before they can finish that work. So she said, we will continue to keep an eye on it. Okay.
6 months.
Anywho, the other option, and Brandon, if you'll help me with this, is perf continues to be, and Jen has spent multiple hours on the phone with perf. For whatever reason, they had our certified salaries wrong in their system for this year, which of course throws off the contributions. And so there's a whole host of adjustments that are going to have to go on with perf. We're not in any trouble. It's just going to be a pain in the neck to get that done.
Did they transcribe our figures wrong? Or did
I don't know exactly what happened.
Don't know what happened.
Every time you talk to somebody, they give you different.
Oh,
It's
not my fault.
It's been a little bit of a thing. So we have evidently the last resolution for perf for the 77 fund. The last resolution they have on file for us was done in 2012. So it's an emergency that we immediately sign this resolution right away, because it hasn't been done since 2012.
So
there's the other piece of the puzzle with this is that the resolution in 2012 stated that the employees were paying their 6%. And so in the taxable, non-taxable portion of the way that gets reported, it was showing that they were paying I don't remember if it was a pre-tax or a post-tax. I think it was considered a post-tax contribution or post-tax share. And that's not how we're set up. We're set up that at the end of year 2, the township will start picking up 3% of that contribution. They pay the full 6% up to the end of year 2. For their third year, they pay the 3%, and at the end of their third year, the township pays the whole 6%. And so it was not reported in the resolution from 2012 that that's how we were doing it. And so that conversation was initiated, and they've now identified that as a problem that we need to work on getting resolved. And so in order to do so, we have to send over a revised resolution. Abby was working on doing that. One of the things that I had asked is that we set the resolution to take effect on the pay cycle, so that we're not trying to figure out a piecemeal as if we do it in a mid-pay cycle. So I believe the resolution that she's got for the 77 perf side is relative to go in effect on the 13th, I believe it is, because that would be the beginning of our next pay cycle.
Yes.
And talking to perf, they want to try and get things squared away so that it's appropriate going forward. They didn't seem too concerned going back. We'll figure that out once we get everything ironed out and start getting that reporting correct. So that'll be something that we'll start diving into next week. With FDIC this week, it's been a little bit hectic.
So everybody will get the right amount or has gotten the right amount?
The amount doesn't change, it's the reporting that changes.
Okay.
So whether it's reported as pre or post tax.
The second piece of that, and we had talked about this a little bit last time, was for the perf employees, which are me and Jenny and Andy Ebert, the fire marshal. We're the only perf
there are only 3. Okay.
employees. Andy's perf was budgeted for as part of the fire salary. So his, and again, it doesn't matter as long as we've got money between fire perf and township perf. It doesn't, we can scoot money back and forth as we need to for that. But to be consistent with our fire department, and also to be consistent with the other townships in the area as far as what they're covering for perf. Her suggestion was to, and then in light of all of this reporting stuff, it's easier, I guess, to, if the perf employees, if the 3% that is the employee contribution or is the potential for employee, is the allowable from perf, employee contribution, if that is also paid for by the township. And so I revised those numbers because we were talking, and then didn't include Andy last time we were talking about that. And so the total to the township would be $5,282.37 for the three of us for the township to pick up, as opposed to the employees paying that portion. The township already pays the other share of our portion. It's just the 3% that was in question, I guess. So that I prepared that resolution as well, or Abby did, and would prefer to send all of those over at the same time so we can get those in the system, get everything updated, and then going forward, we can do consistent reporting across as we should be to perf. That is my ask of you.
And 3% is the max. That's it, 3%?
Yes, for perf, for the perf employees, that is the only amount that we are allowed to pay, or that is the, you say that
Okay, let's just clarify. So next year, you're not gonna come back and ask for another 2?
No.
And the year
No,
after that, ask
You're
for
not
another
allowed.
2?
You're
That's
not
what I'm
allowed.
wanting clarity on.
No.
Okay.
3% is all that
It's my
is
understanding,
available.
perf, you can't pay 1.5 or
Right,
whatever, it has
right.
to be one or all.
Yeah.
If I understand perf right.
Correct. So right now, as far as, and you'll see in the financial reporting, the perf line for township is more like 43% because Andy's was being paid out of the township as opposed to it was budgeted for in the fire, but it's been being paid out. So like I said, we can switch that money around and make sure that we're not running short versus what he's been budgeted for. All is well as far as, and the money, at least for Jenny and I, that was budgeted inside of the township, is adequate, is plenty to cover all of this.
So if his is coming out of township and you're expecting it to come out of fire, is there a reason why you haven't just taken that chunk of his out of fire and put it in township so far?
I have to have a resolution to do so. You guys have to approve money switching from one fund to the other.
But it was already budgeted for the fire, so really we just need to give the approval for that amount to come in.
I don't know that I even look at doing that. You can just split the payments out of.
Yeah,
You just
we can
split,
do
you
that
just
too.
split the perf payment so that then it would still keep it true and we can track the budget, the perf contributions coming out of the fire side.
Yeah, like I said, the
Why
money,
would it be on the fire side when he's in,
Because he's under the department of the fire department.
okay,
So he's a fire
so
department
his
employee.
salary and stuff.
However, he is a civilian employee as opposed to a pensioned firefighter. So he won't do interior structural firefighting, and that's not part of his purview. His role is as a fire marshal. So with that being said, the advantage of offering it as a civilian or a 77 perf, he wouldn't have taken the job if we would have offered it as 77 because he'd be leaving the pension base from Fishers to come here. So his retirement would have taken a dip, pretty significant dip. So what he was able to do is he retired from Fishers out of the 77 perf and is now in civilian perf.
okay, so you're saying you guys can go ahead and just pay his perf out of your budget?
I'm saying that when the payment is made, we should be able to split it Tom's Web as the amounts for the township and then the amount for Andy
Yeah,
under the
so when I
fire.
go in and pay it on payroll day, is this what you're saying? So I'll pay it, and if this goes through, instead of putting it all on the township, I would split that total in half and put that half on the township and the other half on the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's an accounting system.
So it doesn't sound like that needs to be approved, it can already be taken care of.
the way to do it, but what has to be approved is, they have to have a new resolution.
On file since the last one was 2020,
Yes.
2012.
Yes, and so I
Email that
included
over.
also the perf resolution with this as well. Since we're redoing it, and we were talking about doing that part anyway, when we start, you talk about diving into a can of worms. We were on the phone with that guy forever, and it's still not done.
So we're looking at going ahead and following through on a resolution so it can be updated since 2012 to pretty much say what we've already agreed is allowed to happen. Like, this is stuff we've already agreed to, correct? We just have to get it in their file. Is that what I'm hearing?
From the fire side, correct. That's what's currently in the contract and has been.
Right. And then the other, is there another resolution then to have the 5%, 3%?
3%.
Yes, 3% each?
Yes,
Okay, for a total of a little over 5,000
$5,282.
per person or in total?
No, total.
My understanding, you hired him, he thought he was getting all that paid anyway, right?
No, we had talked about doing a split with him, similar to what we were doing with the fire department.
I mean, him, he thought his whole perf was gonna be paid.
No, we had talked to him about doing a split, similar to the way that we follow the fire department. But apparently with perf, you have either all or none.
Yeah.
So we had gone back and forth. He
Oh,
understood.
okay, so you was talking about doing what you talk about, the 2 year and then 3 times 5 is a full 6% or whatever. So eventually he would have been paid all anyway, right?
Correct.
What's the first year on fire in 77?
On the 77, they're paying 6%.
Okay.
That's their
The
contribution.
employees pay the 6%.
The township's contribution is currently 21%.
Okay, but I mean, the employee, but we're paying that after year 3, right?
Completion of year 3, we pick up that 6%.
What is it before that?
It's 6, 3, and 0.
Okay, so they don't get nothing until they've been here 3 years then, right?
The completion of their second year, we pick up half of it.
Half, so they get 3 then, right?
And at the completion of their third
That's what I
year,
was trying to get at, when we started paying their
Yep.
6.
completion of second year.
And that's earned at this department versus Greenfield.
Correct. Greenfield and Sugar Creek don't pay the 6%.
Okay.
So that remains of an employee. And that's one of the things when we talk contract negotiations that we remind the union vice president is that when we look at salaries, they also have to take into consideration that there's a 6% benefit that is not shown in a pension base.
And it was also one of the benefits that we get offered to attract people from other,
Yeah.
not from other departments, but instead of other departments. That was a benefit that was put in place long before I got here.
I'm gonna get attracting other departments' people after they train them. I'm good with that, aren't you, chief?
If we get them. If we get them, they're good.
Until they start robbing you back.
So I have 2 resolutions, like I said, one for the perf and one for the 77 plan. And you'll need a different motion for each one if you choose to pass those this evening.
Okay.
Why would we not pass the resolution that needs to be updated since 2012? We've already, am I correct in this? We've already cleared it. So, am I hearing everything? Everything's being laid out on the table. We've already approved it. It's already in our paperwork. We're already doing what we said we were gonna do. We just have to update it.
We
So-
haven't filled out that form and that they require that.
I understand. It changes nothing of what we've already voted on and approved. We're just finally giving them the paperwork.
Well,
Is
you
that-
didn't approve it, the 2012 board approved it.
But we're doing an
Yes.
update based off of,
Yes.
they're needing an update based off of what we're currently doing now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
So we're changing nothing. We're just finally giving them the paperwork we've already agreed on.
Yes.
So there's really no
So
reason to
that's
oppose it.
this resolution with this resolution number.
We didn't know that this was a problem until we found out it was a problem.
It's fine. Yeah, I completely hear what you're saying. I just think like it's already, it needs to be approved. It's already done.
So, let's see.
So that's for the 77.
Probably does it matter, make a difference who makes a motion or should
No,
we not?
it does not.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
If you'll at least read the number and what
okay.
it's,
We have discussion and we'll need to vote on approved resolution to fund retirement contribution. It's resolution 2025-0402. Whereas the Township Board of Buck Creek Township, Indiana, has authority through all the IC codes and all that, pick up the pay or any part of the members' mandatory contributions to the 1977 Police Officers and Firefighters Retirement Fund 77 plan. Whereas the mandate is 6% of gross covered wages currently being contributed by the township once a firefighter has concluded 3 years of continued service. You need the pre-tax part, 6% contribution pre-tax as a part of wage adjustments.
Good.
I'm good.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and pass the 2025-0402 resolution to fund retirement contributions.
A second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded on resolutions 2025-0402. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now, which brings us
the
to.
second one is the
Second.
perf one.
And this is the one that is going to be changing to how, where we will be paying the full 3% at like a little over $5,000 per year.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll put everybody on the same level field, right?
From the township side, correct.
On the township side,
Yeah, on the township side.
that's the max.
Which is really the three, so.
Mhm.
Three, right. All right, we have another resolution, 2025-0401, resolution to fund retirement contributions. Whereas the Township Board, the Buck Creek Township, Indiana Board, has authority via IC 510, all that, to pick up and pay all or part of members' mandatory contributions to the Public Employment Retirement Fund, PERF. Whereas the PERF hybrid plan members handbook published online advises employees are given the option of paying the mandatory 3% contribution pre-tax as part of the wage adjustment. Whereas the mandatory 3% of gross covered wages are currently being contributed by the employees. Now be it resolved by the Township Board of Buck Creek Township, Hancock has authorized the township to pay the mandatory 3% of gross covered wages to the contributions to PERF. That's about the gist of it.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution of 2025-0401, resolution to fund retirement contributions.
We have a
Second.
motion, have a second. Okay, we have a motion and duly seconded at 2025-0401, resolution to fund retirement contributions for PERF. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
The only other thing is, were there any questions on the receipts and disbursements report or the balance sheet as distributed?
Well, I seen one that was hired crap, but I can't remember what it was now.
Vehicle maintenance.
Well, one of them was,
Brandon's calling it. Wait.
somebody, Jeff put tires on one of the fire trucks or
Yeah.
something.
$2,678.
I figured that's what
Riley
that
Park.
figured
Well,
that'd
actually, it was 2,000.
So we had 6 tires going in ambulance. So this ambulance has gotten a full set of tires, and then we've had to replace, we've done a full set of tires on, or no, yeah, we've done a full set of tires on Medic 72 as well. And we've also done the PMs on the heavy PMs and all the trucks. So hopefully I'm front loaded on that.
And what's CL Conrad Company?
Coonrod,
Coonrod?
that's a,
Coonrod.
CPF,
Oh,
That's Abby.
yes.
Abby's.
And
that
some
includes
of that,
territory.
yeah, some of that still is fire territory stuff. She just did the whole financial plan that we presented to Mayor Titus of the analysis for both departments. And that will be split at some point. We will figure out what we have into fire territory expenses as far as the accounting is concerned. And also going forward, because if in fact the territory stuff moves forward, there's both heavy accounting and heavy legal fees with that, and that will completely be split with Springfield. They are aware that we're racking up money with Abby, and are aware approximately of what that number is. So
And so it's common, because I really do want to know, it's common for Abby with her skill set to do the financials, but also do all the resolutions? Is that what is common?
she is not usually doing all of the resolutions.
Okay, who does the resolutions?
Jenny typically types them up.
Okay,
Because it's nothing to type them, we're usually just cutting and pasting from some other, so it's usually not. She did these because she wanted to put the IC codes in there and all that kind of stuff to make sure that they are good for what perf needs on those, so that's why she did these, but she typically doesn't do resolutions.
okay. We're good.
No other questions on that stuff, that's all I have.
You all good?
Yep.
Chief Welch, you're up.
We had one vacancy. We did a hiring process. We had 10 candidates that went through the complete process. We offered a job and he accepted. We're waiting on the results from perf. So we've got him going through the perf physical and psych, and then we'll just be waiting on perf, hoping to have him started probably this time in May.
Where did he come from?
He's actually one of our part-timers.
Okay, good.
So
Graduated from that.
I was trying to think of his background and I don't have it off the top of my head. I apologize.
But you know what you invested in the place.
Well, but you at least know who it is.
He's a
Okay,
good kid.
very good. Oh, so he's a
It comes
kid.
from a
Well,
fire family.
A kid coming from my age, I mean, a 30-year-old kid to me.
Let's see what else. So do you guys receive the chief updates that I send out into your email?
Are you talking about all those scammer emails that I've been receiving?
No. So into your Buck Creek email, I didn't know if you guys are on the list that
Fire
receives
chief
the
report, usually.
weekly reports that I usually send out on Friday.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I don't think I've seen
I've
it.
been getting a lot from was it RD?
Oh my gosh, what did you guys do?
One about one.
I didn't do anything.
What did you send to us?
FDIC?
Oh,
I didn't even-
That's because- Yeah, that's because you got passes, which I'll give you, remind me and I'll get you your passes before you leave.
Okay.
Yeah, because they use your email address as part of that, that's the reason that you're getting all those emails. We get them as well, so I'm still getting them to my old email address that I don't use anymore. So, anyway,
If you're tired of
No, I don't-
spam,
I don't get your weekly one.
I'm not seeing
Okay.
your weeklies.
I will make an effort to try and remember to include you guys on those as well, just so you have kind of a weekly status of what's going on. The biggest thing that we've been talking about here recently has been the territory. So as Nikki had talked about, we met with Mayor Titus, Chief Horning, Dan O'Reilly was there as well, who's one of the city council, and then Buzz, who is their county person, was on the phone. The meeting was interesting. We had suspected that they were going to come at us with a hard no, that they weren't interested in moving forward, just from some feedback we had gotten. We had kind of pre-gamed and met with Chief Horning and had a conversation. And one of the things I think there was a perception that it was us going to them, asking them to do this. And it wasn't. Chief Horning actually initiated this whole process and this whole conversation. And so in this meeting that we had, he kind of explained some of the hurdles that they were going to have as a department, some of the concerns that he had, and that this was a mutually beneficial solution to address both the problems that they're facing and some of the problems that we're facing. So I think with some of those conversations and kind of looking at some of the financials, they kind of reset the playing field a little bit so that they truly understood why this is something that we were looking at and why this is something that's important. The meeting ended up going over about an hour and a half. The mayor looked down at 3:30 at his watch and said, I was supposed to be somewhere an hour ago. I apologize. I got to go. So the fact that they continued, wasn't okay, we gave you the hour. We said, see you later. In fact, they actually stayed during the meeting, were asking good questions, wanted to understand some stuff. At the end of the meeting, the biggest concern became the status of Senate Bill 1. If you've not been following Senate Bill 1, it is, I'll circle back around to it here in a minute, but it is a very interesting bill that has a lot of potential to impact us pretty heavily, depending on the way that it goes. They added a 395-page amendment to it that I've not had a chance to look through it. So,
Who does, and that's why they do it?
well, I will.
Yeah.
So ITA, the chief elder from Vernon just forwarded across something from ITA that was a summary on it. And that summary identified some very concerning things for township government. So it's some things that we'll have to keep an eye on. I truly hope that this bill does not move forward. If it does, we're going to have to, and it's not just us. I mean, it's not that this is, we're in a bad spot. It's every township and every fire department's going to have to take a hard look at a lot of things. So with the way the industry is going, I feel that it's concerning. And so trying to dive into this as best we can. So their big holdup is they wanted to see what was going to happen with Senate Bill 1 before making any further commitment. And so at this point, we're waiting for that bill to either die or get signed so that we can figure out how it's going to have impacts. And then we'll regroup with the mayor, with Dan, and with a couple others to see where they stand. And we'll also evaluate where we stand at that point as well. So that's where we're at from the territory side of things. From FDIC, big conference downtown. The show floor has all sorts of fire trucks, all sorts of equipment, all sorts of people trying to sell you all sorts of things. We provide a fire truck. They do what are called hot classes or hands-on training classes. We provided a fire truck and a crew for 2 days, and they allowed our crew to go through that class, and then they also give us the passes. To give you an example, the passes that you guys get are exhibit passes that are $60, I think, for a one-day pass. So, I mean, there's a pretty decent dollar value that we get out of it. We've got folks that are lined up. I'll be down. Actually, all three of us will be down for the next 3 days in some of the lectures and some of the training classes that are going on. So it's a good opportunity. Also a good opportunity to kind of see what's up and coming as we go forward. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. My sanity.
Something came up at the county level. There was a reporter article about it that Walmart.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
I was
They
gonna
have,
ask about that.
they're asking for a $440
Million.
$440 million tax abate, 10-year tax abatement on their personal property, which is all of the equipment. The problem, prior to them coming to the county, we never did 10-year tax abatements, and we never did full tax abatements. When they came, they threw everything that they could at them. And so that was on the building and the real estate and all that. Now they're coming back with personal property. The problem with doing in my opinion, a big abatement on personal property is because it depreciates every year. By the time you get to year 11, when you can tax that personal property, it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Or a lot less than it
That's why
was
they won't
when
do
it
that.
started.
Yeah.
And so there is some talk at the county whether they can do a 3 or a 5-year abatement and maybe not a full 440 million. Maybe they do 220 for 5 years or something, but it was supposed to be heard tomorrow. So they brought it up last Wednesday at the county council budget meeting. And then it was supposed to be heard tomorrow again at the general county council meeting, and they pulled it for hearing tomorrow. So I don't know what that means. I think that there's a little bit more of a splash than they had anticipated on that. And so we'll see. I haven't had an opportunity to, I will have a conversation probably. Mary No, who lives up in McCordsville, represents us and is the county council president now. I just want to have a personal conversation with her. I don't know what that's necessarily going to mean for us. What it means at the county level is less money going into RDC, which does trickle down in theory to us. And so I just want to make sure that she knows where we stand. We've been trying to get some additional benefits out of Walmart for a couple of years now, and they have not been as fruitful as we wanted them to be. And so now they're getting ready to throw more money at them, and I just want her to know where we are and what our stance is. I have to be very careful because they sit right here. I can't completely, make a statement in the paper and completely honk them off. So I'm gonna tiptoe around that a little bit, but I do want to have a personal conversation with.
My understanding is this is for new equipment to solve the problem that they're having with their online sales, not so much their store sales. And this will become more automated equipment.
So they're adding in the conversation. So Chief Klein had called me. I wasn't at that meeting. I was doing staff meetings with the staff on an individual basis at the coffee shop. And so Chief Klein had called me and kind of gave me a heads up. They were at the meeting, and he had told me that they indicated this won't create more traffic. They're not anticipating that's going to create more jobs. It's just equipment. And so from Andy, we've heard that they're extending their automated racking system pretty heavily. And so in doing that, it's all robotics that are moving product through a storage system in totes. So it's not, for them to say it's not going to create any truck traffic, I don't know how it wouldn't.
No, because if you're going to move that volume, you're going to have to have a truck.
I mean, they're going to use it as part of storage, but they're still going to have more in and more out.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, the other thing that was interesting is that, what was it? The only amount that they had paid on business property tax so far was $21. So it was just an example of.
And there was also a change in the AV from last year to this year, and I don't completely understand exactly, but it was like it went from 20 million down to 6 million. And so I called the auditor and said, or the assessor, can somebody explain this to me? And she sent this, big long explanation of what it is. I believe that whatever it was that happened was just kind of like some kind of a one-time adjustment thing. And it was, I didn't understand the whole thing, and that's not my job, to understand it. I just wanted to ask the question and bring it to their attention that there's a huge difference in the numbers here, and just is everybody aware that that's, what happened? And they were aware. So I don't pretend to understand everything but it is concerning, I guess, for the county to throw more money at them. And then, especially if they do full and 10-year, what we're actually going to collect on that money at the end in year 11.
In 10 years, they can pack up too.
And go.
Yeah.
Well, they won't. I mean,
We saw it with the fire over in Plainfield.
Yeah, but they didn't own that building. They do own this building.
They
built this
built
building.
this one out of their pockets. Okay.
Yeah,
But
they're
we're
not going to go,
one of the
whether,
largest
even if they make,
Profit companies in the United States asking for more tax
I know.
abatement, and you can't even get nothing out of them to help. The township that
I
they-
gotta stop very short of saying that, because it's customary that large developments would contribute or
Yeah.
help in some way to the, local economy in some way, whether that's fire, whether that's police, whether that's park, whether that's whatever. So, but
And when we tried to track that down, because the fire department was under the impression that we were going to see something from Walmart being built. And when we tried to track that down, Randy Sorrell pointed us to John Jessup. John Jessup pointed us to Randy Sorrell. Nobody wanted to, it was back and
He
forth.
said,
And
she said,
so we couldn't get a clear answer on that.
But everybody was under the impression that, yep, they were gonna be buying a fire truck or a ladder or whatever. Yep, they were gonna be doing that. And then it evidently never got written down, and nobody remembers exactly who. And and that there's no paperwork to follow it, and so.
Got bags of
just-
candy,
Yeah, just,
bags of candy and a few little things.
just,
That's
so it
that's all.
doesn't, it just doesn't happen, and now the guy that we were dealing with, who was the government affairs director for, I think he's a regional, guy, but he's actually over kind of by Plainfield, they've got some executive offices over there. Now he's stopped communicating. He was the one that we met with here, and he's like, yeah, I'll go sharpen my pencil and we'll figure it out, and don't you worry, we'll be back to you,
Where
and
was the
then,
friendly owl?
so.
Well, my thing is they keep raising our taxes, and then they come along and they wanna give them tax breaks, and where's our tax breaks, you know? I mean, they're making a profit from that building, so.
Have
I
your
just,
personal taxes, property taxes gone up significantly in your development? So mine, yeah. And there's a house that's for sale. You probably see it on the way to work, a little white house on the right-hand side.
empty ground too.
Do you know what that house is selling for? About $289,000 to $290,000.
There was a little old couple that used to walk in our neighborhood that used to live there. And my guess is, based on what they would wear while they were walking, that their house hasn't been updated either. I'm
No, the
guessing.
house has been totally updated.
Oh, it has?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, what's that gonna do to my house?
Yeah.
You know, you don't expect a house to jump 100, let's see, probably about 40% in 5 years.
So from the fire side, that's all I've got, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Is there, the floor hasn't been open today, was not open today, opens tomorrow? The floor,
FDIC.
I believe it opens tomorrow. I gotta look.
Okay.
Somebody was saying they didn't think it opened until Thursday.
You might be right, because it's 3 days, Thursday,
Yeah,
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
I have been so many times, I'm thinking about not going this year, because I have so much to do. Could you use my ticket?
No, we've got a couple extras that weren't used,
Okay.
so we're good. Thank you though.
I'll take it just in case I have time, but I'm so busy this week, and I'm going away next week.
It's pretty cool if you haven't seen it. I know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
understand that you have, but
Oh,
if you guys haven't, if you
I
haven't
have some
seen it,
phenomenal pictures.
it's totally impressive. And to walk around with, Chief, cause I'm like, oh my gosh, what would what's this little thing on the top for? And, and then there's an explanation that goes along with and so I learned a lot, last year when I went, and, all the new doodahs, that you can, a lot of new, hand equipment and all that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, in the last 10 years, it's amazing what's happened to Jaws of Life.
Mhm.
So many companies have gone to battery operated, and the strength of them is amazing.
Is
Whoever
there
thought they'd become that easy to handle?
any public discussion?
Two pigeons out there would be about the only thing.
Go ahead. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Seconded.
I'm gonna go run to some.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Adjourned at
thank you for the numbers.